In this video, we are going to try and learn about a new way of getting more salt centers in 5BLD. So, as you know, in 4BLD, whenever you have a scramble, let me just do a hand scramble. Suppose you have a scramble, you always look for like bars or something, like if suppose this was a bar or a X or a like diagonal thing, you just try and see, orient it and start memoing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 salt centers on a 4x4. This is quite easy to do on a 4x4. It takes about 2 or 3 seconds to find a good orientation. But no one does this for 5x5 except for Chris Hardwick. And when I got to know that Chris Hardwick was using this technique, I was quite excited. So generally what I do generally in 5FI is we find the fixed orientation, and you have this fixed orientation, and if you are lucky you get a lot of salt centers. And if you see the current 5BLD WR sol, I think so it had 9 to 10 salt centers or even more. So it was a scramble similar to this. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 salt centers. So this is like a really good scramble set. From this orientation, I do not need to do anything. And you know, like there are around like 8 multiplied by 6, so that's 48 centers to be solved. So at max, if there are no salt centers, you have to do like 24 commutators of 3 cycles, which is a lot. It happens rarely, but it's a possibility. But in this case, we are lucky. We are having 19 salt centers, but we cannot be lucky all the time. So let's take another case. If I have this orientation, and this has happened to me sometimes, you know, like I see a lot of white here, so that is a really bad thing because I have to do comms which with the D layer, and they are a bit slower comms. I see an orange, this green bar here, and this red thing here. And what I could do is, you know, like a 4BLD, there is a way in which you can get more salt centers here. And the way you can do this is you can do an x2 move, and this is a valid rotation that you can do. You can memo from this orientation. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18, 19 salt centers from this angle. And the way you memo the cube, and then the only thing that you have to do is m prime e2 m e2 just to fix this 4 centers. Quite easy. So that's one way of dealing with memo when you have a lot of like U and D stickers swapped. Let's move on. We have this case. Again, you see that U and D stickers are swapped, but in this case we have a like a big orange blob solved here. Even on the red side we have these two things done, but what you are seeing is we have a bar here and a bar, kind of a bar here, and this is kind of wrong because I should be having green here, a lot of green bars here, and a lot of blue bars here. So what I can try and do is here in this orientation, do a Z2, and now what I have is a solid orientation. This is a correct orientation. The only thing I have to do is just do a y prime m prime e2 m e2, and now I have a valid orientation. I'll just count the number of salt centers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So just 24 salt centers by doing this 4 move comb, center comb. So it's kind of possible. So the first two cases that we discussed were a lot of U and D stickers swapped, and in that case a lot of this stickers were swapped, and in this case a lot of this stickers are swapped. Let's move on to the third this kind of a case, very similar set, is when you have U and D kind of not swapped. So like you have a like salt center here, but you're having a lot of swaps in this. So you see, if I'm holding in my orientation, lot of red here, a lot of orange here, then here is a big slot of blue, and here is a lot of green. So it's basically just good scramble, but only thing I need to do is I need to go to an orientation like this. If this is my orientation, then I have a lot of salt centers, and to solve the inner solve centers, I just do a Z and M E2 M prime E2, and now I have a lot of solve centers here. It's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 solve centers. In contrary to this orientation where I had only 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, so 9 solve centers and 23 solve centers, so I got a really big jump. So this covers up these 3 cases. Now we move on to a little bit trickier cases. Let's cover these ones. So let's see. From this orientation, what I can see is a lot of this thing done. So okay, this is my base orientation. So what I can do is I can just do this, and I have a lot of solve centers here. See, yellow is solved, green is solved, orange is solved, white is completely solved, the X centers. So from this orientation, if I want to retrieve my base orientation, I just do Y prime, M, E prime, M prime, E, and I just solve it, and I get a lot of solve centers here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24. So 24 solve centers with this competitor, which is really good to get to. And these 3 orientations were a bit easier to get to know, but for these kinds of orientations, the way I try to memorize them is what I have is let's have a solved 5 by 5 in front. So what I try to do is I remember a T. So this is a T and a dash, to remember which orientations are correct and which are wrong. So a dash means I can have Z2, X2, Y2, that's a dash, and a T, the top part of the T, the standing T is this, and the top part means this too. So this orientation or this orientation, and similarly symmetric to the bottom, this orientation or this orientation, and this dash means this orientation or this orientation, and again similarly symmetrically here, this orientation or this orientation. So these are the 12 possible valid orientations which you can try and see more solve centers for. So let's move on to another case. Here again we have a lot of centers, but not on the correct spot. So what we can try and do is here maybe an X prime, yeah, just an X prime, right? Yeah, and now if you try and see how many solve centers are there are quite a few. And now my question to you guys is this a valid is this a valid state? This is a valid case now. Okay, so what I can try to do is from here I just need to I have a lot of bars and things here. So the thing that I just need to do is solve these centers, and what I have is a swap of these centers. So what I can try to do is M, so I do a Y, M, E, M prime, E prime, and that solves a lot of centers from this orientation. So I just went from my base orientation to here, and I did this. Okay, so yeah, that's another case. So it's opposite to this one. Okay, now let's look at one more case. If you try and do, we see a lot of oranges, we try to hold it in front and see now if there is a lot of blue here now, so which is also good. So we have 2 really good solve centers. We have also a lot of white here, so this looks like a really good orientation. From this base orientation we are here, and now we have to solve the centers. Again, it's a very easy MES style algs, E, M prime, E prime, M, and we just solve a lot of centers and we have a good orientation. So yeah, this is one more good orientation which you can try and find out if you are like a lot of red orange bars here. Now let's look to a similar case but in a different direction. We are having, this is the base scramble, the base orientation, and what we see is a lot of blue salt here and green salt here. So what I can do is from this orientation go to this orientation, and now I have green, a lot of blue, a lot of white at the bottom, and a bit of red at the back. And now again I have to cycle pieces, and the way I can do it is E prime, M prime, E, M, and that solves all the centers. So yeah, E prime, M prime, E, M. So like this was the base orientation, and what I went to this was this orientation, and I just saw a lot of centers solved from this. So I just did E prime, M prime, E, M, and now I have a lot of solved centers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 solved centers from here, which is quite nice. Yep. So now we have covered these cases, which were the T part, and we have covered this x2, y2 and z2s. Now we move on to this faces, when you make these faces as your front faces. So yeah, let's move on to this case. Okay, this is another orientation that we have, and if we just do a y and z prime, we have a lot of solved centers, and now it's like we have a bar here, bar here, bar here. This is also another valid orientation. We just have to solve the inner centers, and if you see these three are cycled, so we can just do E prime, M, E, M prime, and we get a lot of solved centers. Now I'll just briefly go over the remaining cases that I have. So yeah, this is the case. Again we are having what do we have here? A lot of orange here, so I'll just bring it here, and I have a lot of yellow here. This is also valid state, and from here I'll just have to do again a z prime, not a z prime. From here again I have to solve the centers, and it's just cycling between here, so I just have to do M, E prime, M prime, E to solve the centers. So this is also a valid state. And now finally the last two states. Okay, from the base state we have a lot of red here, so we keep it at the back, a lot of white here, keep it here. This is also valid state. It's y prime z off. This is a valid state, and to solve the inner centers, what we have to do is just do this. So E prime, S prime, E, S, and we solve the centers. So yeah, this is also valid state. And final state is this. If you see a lot of green here and a lot of white here, that means we have to make the orientation like this. And we see a lot of solved centers in this orientation, and the way we try to do this is we have to get the solved centers here. So just M, E prime, M prime, E. So it's just easy. M, E, M prime, E prime. So it's a meme commutator that you have to do. Yeah. So yeah, these are all the 12 orientations. These are the easier ones to spot. This one will happen when you are super lucky in your 5 yearly attempt. You are just having a lot of solid centers from your base orientation. These ones are a bit tricky to spot, and the key really is to do this to get to this orientation within like 1 or 2 seconds, or maybe max 5 seconds, so that you kind of save time overall, because it takes like about you're saving about on an average 3 to 4 commutators, 3 commutators, and 3 commutators might take 6 seconds to execute, and basically you're also holding less memorization, so it's like 3 letter pairs less. So again, that is also a reduction. So let's say about 3 letter pairs will take around again 5 to 6 seconds to memo. So you're basically saving 10 seconds, and to compensate for that, you should be able to find this orientation within a few seconds. So I hope this video was helpful, and you will start using random orientations in 5ELD as well to get more solved centers.